of 2010. Nathan asked me to do this a couple weeks ago. About a week later, last Sunday, I said, "Okay, what are you looking for here? What do you want me to talk about? What's this going to be about?" First, he said, "Whatever you say, you're not going to be wrong." I'm like, "Dude, you've never heard me speak before." Second, I'm thinking, all right, well, how can I tie this in? I do work at Wake Forest in the communications office of the athletic department. Like a lot of people end up doing, Nathan makes sports jokes about, all I know is sports. But I decided, except for Wright here, he might want to talk about Wake Forest sports. I found that out earlier tonight. But I don't want to give Nathan the satisfaction of hearing about that Florida State football win too many more times from last weekend. I don't remember. Last year we won 35-30. No. But in the end, I felt just like sharing a little bit about the one thing that certainly has us all connected. That's Revo Church, and that's the vision that God has through Revo Church. I feel like my experience is probably a little bit unique, and as all of ours are. We're all here for different reasons because of different circumstances. But for me, I feel like I've seen Revo Church in a variety of lenses, through different lenses. When I moved down here, I saw it through the lens of a non-believer. I moved down here, like I said, June of 2010. The first two people I met here, Liz Walker and Allie Robleski, both of them. They were coming up from the pool. I parked. I had a car full of stuff. My boss had a car full of stuff with a trailer on it. And they said, "Hey, can we help you move in?" I'm like, "Of course." Why would I not let you help me move in? So they helped me move in. They ended up being my neighbors right across the breezeway of the apartment complex. Those two, along with Emily Deere, Jessica Wilson, Kat Garvey, you've all seen them all around. And through that first year, I became friends with them. I met a lot of people in this room through them, as well as some other people that you guys see on a weekly basis that aren't here. And through that first year, man, I was still a non-believer. I was still doing my own thing, kind of living the way I did in college, really the way I always had, at least, like I said, about from college and on. It got to a point, it was exactly a year, actually. My lease was up. That's how I knew it was exactly a year. My lease was up. I'm moving out. And Kat and Allie, two people who had been really by my side for the first year, they're helping me kind of get my apartment in order, move to a new place, pack up my stuff. I didn't have a place to go, actually, and earlier that day I had went and told my boss, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to go back to Ohio where my friends and my family are. I just think that's the right decision." And when I told him that, that triggered something inside of me, like, man, this is not the right decision. I had a really long text message conversation with my mom that day as I'm packing and stuff like that, and just through that day and some of the things that she said, and it ended up, I needed some help. I was in a pretty tough spot. I went and talked to one of my good friends in the church through Revo at that time, and he explained to me, as he had done several times. He talked to me about the gospel. He talked to me about Jesus. He talked to me about, he at this time he really laid it out very matter-of-factly. If you want your life to change, if you don't want to be worrying about these things that you consistently worry about, the answer is Jesus, and that's it. And even that night, it was an emotional night for both of us, honestly, and I still left that night without making any kind of decision. Still skeptical, still unsure, and for whatever reason, it was less than 24 hours later, the next day, over at that Gothic bicycle shop right after lunch at Mellow Mustard. In the basement over there, I had another conversation and ended up giving my life to Christ that afternoon, I guess, after lunch. And that kind of developed maybe the second lens I started seeing Revo through, and that was kind of a new believer. I really didn't know. I knew the decision I had made, but I didn't really know the ways it would affect my life. Or my mindset, or how I lived, or the things I now knew to be important, as opposed to what was important to me before. And through that, I continued to have these relationships with the people who had already had a good relationship, who I had a good relationship with previously. And now, since you make that step, and now there's a lot of more questions, even more than maybe the first year when I had no idea what anybody was talking about. I didn't know why anybody was planting a church. I figured there was enough of them in the nation anyway. quite frankly. So you see that, and you see my mindset kind of changed. Well, it changed drastically, but the way the reasons why everyone was doing what they were doing, why they loved me for no reason, why they cooked for me all the time, why when I was being a jerk, they still wanted to be my friend. Like all those things, it started making sense. Like, oh, well, they're modeling their life after Jesus. They're not. It's not because they want to, make me a number on a year-end report so their numbers look big or their attendance is great. It wasn't about that. And I started to. I never felt that way initially. Let me back. I never felt that way initially, but then you kind of start seeing why. The reason behind the way they live their life. And that's, kind of where I was for a long time. And probably, I would guess January, I think I made maybe another step and kind of started seeing things a little differently. Again, I was challenged by another good friend of mine to, yeah, you made this decision, but what are you doing? Are you involved? Are you volunteering? Are you part of a group? Are you doing anything to kind of further your relationship with Jesus and learning more about the gospel? And I wasn't. I really wasn't. I was coming to church regularly. I was doing the church thing, I guess. But I think January came, and I think that's when the third lens kind of went over my fake glasses here. And when I was thinking about it, I'm like, it's definitely not the mature lens, because I'm certainly not a mature Christian by any means. I feel like we all have so much more to learn and a lot further to go. But I would say it was more of a growing end. And since then, I do volunteer when I can, when it doesn't, when the job allows me to be there, which is most Sundays, and this year it's been really good. I finally got plugged into an art group, which is something I hadn't done. I've gotten to speak, obviously, in front of you guys tonight, which is an awesome and fun opportunity. I've spoken at the Winston-Salem Rescue Mission and kind of shared that, and continued to use the leaders of the church as mentors for me to continue asking questions. Nathan or Paul or Chase or Wes, Johnny, all the guys in here that I've really had relationships from the beginning. And then the other part of that is I've been able to then share my story and share the gospel. Last week I had a conversation with one of my student workers who is a non-believer, and just kind of give him my take on what I know to be true, and field some of his questions. And I think, so that's kind of where I am right now. The three lenses, like I said, a non-believer, a new believer, and kind of a growing believer. And that's kind of where we are today, another opportunity to share my story and share kind of what this church is doing, what God is doing through this church, and the vision that the leaders of this church, like Nathan and Paul, have, and what, just kind of, yeah, exactly, just what they're doing. I'll leave you with this. Nathan talks all the time about, not going to church, but going out and being the church. And Revo's doing that for sure. And we all see it, in our announcements or whatever it is, whatever we're involved in, whether it be, going to Cuba and planting churches there, the Coach for Kids stuff we're doing now, the Ashley Elementary stuff, helping those students and teachers out. And the Drive for Freedom golf tournament that's coming up really soon. We have all these things that we are going out and engaging in the community. And I think, this is a place where I'm happy to call home, really. I actually told Paul this the other day. Not only does Revo kind of definitely feel like home, but, now with the community and Winston-Salem itself has really started to feel like home to me. It took over 2 years to happen, but I'm glad it has. I'm glad I'm here. Now, with that, again, just thank you for the generosity that you guys show with everything that Nathan mentioned when he was introducing me. Thank you just for the friendship and the fellowship and the opportunity tonight. And most importantly, thanks for not booing me and getting me back up here too quickly. Thanks.